Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Jess Marshall podcast. I'm your dude, Jess Marshall. I'm a real estate investor, a restoration contractor, a custom builder. More importantly, today I'm a podcaster, and I started this podcast so that I could sit down and chop it up with other people who are living their lives in a do-it-yourself, fearless type of way. And this week I get Logan Fullmer on the show. We're going to talk about real estate investing. Obviously, that's his forte, but also his secret to entrepreneurship and how in the hell does he keep that energy up. I hope you enjoy it. What did you study when you went to Texas State?
Business.
Okay.
So I want to be an architect, realized I couldn't do that. I talked my way into business school because my GPA wasn't high enough. Once I got the dean to approve me under probation, I got to stay. So I did business. It was, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do accounting. My dad was a CPA. But I couldn't fucking do that because my grades weren't high enough. So I had to do marketing because that was the easy one. Management because it was the easy one.
What got you dialed in on architecture? I wanted to be an architect a lot growing up,
because
too.
I loved modern construction. Glass walls, flat roofs. I loved it.
Really?
Loved buildings. So
Did you know that when you were
Yeah.
little?
I have a little piece of paper that I wrote this letter. When I graduate high school, I'm going to go be an architect. I'm going to live in a glass house, all this shit. Cool thing is, I'm not an architect, but I do live in a glass house now.
Good for you. Do you throw stones, right? What do they say?
And with some maturity, I've learned and gotten much better at not doing that.
There you go. There you go. Were you dialed in on some of the big mid-century modern architects? So you knew about like Falling Water when you were little? When you were a little kid? Really?
Oh yeah.
Was that
Miles
something?
Van der Rohe, all the guys. I know all that.
So was this something you're dialing in on the internet, looking around, or
books? And then when the internet started to become a thing.
How old are you?
Yeah, so I'm 41 this year.
Okay, so we're pretty close in age. 43.
Okay, yeah.
You look great, man. You look like you're like 30.
Thanks.
You get ID'd still at Chili's?
No, I don't, but I'll tell you, I wear this ring that tells me how good my sleep is.
There you go.
I drink shit tons of water. I've been eating vegan for a long time because the trainer said, try this. I'm like, I don't want to try that stupid shit. And then I tried it, and I'm like, game changer, so I do that.
Really?
I run a lot.
So you're into kind of the biohacking, performance enhancement.
As good as it can get without being crazy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But running on an optimum level, there's nothing like it, especially if you go off optimum for a couple of days.
I've done it. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else
Originally, it started out for the cosmetic and a vanity thing. I want to continue to stay lean and fit like I was in my 20s. And when I started to get this dialed in about 7 or 8 years ago, I started to say, holy shit, I have tons of energy. I'm so clear. I can go all day nonstop. And then when I go home, I don't have a problem with sleeping. When I lay down, I'm out in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
And when I started to feel that, I thought, all these problems that I've had at prior points in my life are not there. I thought, this is pretty incredible.
Okay, are there
business started to get better? I started to get smarter with my relationships, how I manage people. Like, when your brain works better, you're just fucking better at everything.
Well, when you have more energy, too, life is way easier.
Your brain works, and you have the energy. Like, the combination of that, I would compare myself today to myself at 25 years old, and just, this is literally the best era of my life. And I talked to my wife about this recently and said, honey, we have financial stability. We're still sharp. Our bodies look and feel and work really well. And our kids are young. We have 4 kids. I'm like, at this point, this is the best. I mean, we're going to get wealthier as we age, but our bodies fall apart. We're going to feel as good. Like, we need to understand this is the best of our life ever, right fucking now.
Be grateful.
So remember this. We need to give some respect to that.
No doubt. We need a new, is mine bad?
How this works. No, it's just far from your mouth with your newfound height. So
Yes. Newfound. This table is really tall, is it not?
Dude, I know. The whole time I'm trying to get taller to get by the table.
I know it. It's like
but Corey said you're supposed to like this. It's supposed to be good, I guess.
It's like you're sitting at a high chair. I'm always just like, hey,
what do I do with these? What do I do with these?
Like when you go to a restaurant and you sit like in the booth, right? Booth is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always gonna be a sit at the bar guy because you could just have way more. You can see what's going on. You're a little higher, but if we got to go booth, that's fine. But man, I got to get right on the edge of that. I'm falling down. I'm trying to eat. It's a disaster. I'm not booth first guy. I can tell you that.
Funny.
When it comes to optimizing your health, your well-being, the way your brain is operating, did you cut things out of your life that were in your life and were taking a predominant role for a while, such as?
So inherently, this journey has been happening since my late 20s, but I wasn't doing it intentionally in the way I am now. So at that point, I was a junkie for like 10 years.
Okay.
So a lot of people, I don't talk about that a ton, like publicly, because I don't want to be that same fucking entrepreneur that made it and used to be homeless. Like,
yeah, you gotta have a story.
Yeah, but I'm sick of hearing that 'cause everybody says that shit.
You gotta tell your story like 30 times per podcast.
Right. So I don't really talk about that part. Yeah. But the first thing was getting off drugs. I stopped drinking because it was messing up my high. So I liked the alcohol, but I really liked being high better. So I quit drinking because it's fucking up my high. Well, I loved being high. That's why I did it for so long. But I got to the point where I was getting fired. I had no money. I was having health problems. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I started trying to get clean. So it took about 3 times. Rehab. Finally get clean. I'm like, oh, I'm starting to like think and see, and my brain's working better. And like when I sleep, I'm actually sleeping. I'm not like out, like passed out all night. And I get a job offer to work in the oil field with my buddies. So I'm now away from where I used to be. Don't have any of those influences. I've been sober now or clean for like 30 months. And now I'm getting a job making more money than I made in my life. So now I have this self-esteem that's starting to rise, some confidence. Like it was a really special place. But as that started to happen, I started to see these things like my brain's working better. Then I'll start saying, well, how do I feel? The addict in me always wants things better, right? Yep. So I'm like, how do I feel better? How do I sleep better? How do I work better? So weirdly enough, the addiction is still alive and thirsty and well in me, but I'm not using, the arm candy anymore. It's like money, family, feel better, all those things. So it's a neat way to use the addiction.
That's interesting. That's an interesting way to think about it.
It's alive, man. Yeah. It is. Because I think about it, it's been over 10 years since I've touched drugs. But there are times I'm like, dude, a big fucking monster. Is this recording?
Yeah, and you're fine.
Oh, okay.
I'll cuss way more than you do. Usually there's a rugby ball sitting
I'm
right
just
here,
saying, like, there's a...
Can you pivot your mic a little towards you, Logan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say I could definitely have some relaxation with a big dose, but that's not part of it. Not today.
Yeah. Well, obviously, when you are searching for a better high, or you're searching, everything could be a little better.
You're always looking for a little bit, trying to get back a little bit more, a little bit better.
It's one of those things where you, when you do start realizing that things are actually how they're supposed to be and better when they are how they're supposed to be. I think there's a lot of people who are addicts or who are unhappy people who maybe just don't have the balls to try that drug or that drink or a lot of it, and they just sit in this
misery.
Yes, this state of complete discontent, but they don't know what to do about it. And I don't know if, it's just this lack of, hey, I'm going to at least try. Maybe that's part of why you found success as an entrepreneur.
Maybe so.
There is 100% an adventure and an unexpected dimension to being an entrepreneur.
What you said, let's try. Let's try.
Let's give it a shot.
Let's try. Just like you said earlier, my friend saying, how do I do this? How do I do this? Just go try. Yeah. Same thing. When you started your roofing business, you probably didn't know your head from your ass about roofing, right? But you went to try.
Yep.
And it worked.
Yeah, the first time I flipped a house. No,
I don't know what I'm going to do. But if I take this countertop off, I'm going to see how it comes off. Yep. I'm going to put the new one on the same way it came off. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when I was doing that shit, there was no YouTube. Now people bitch and moan. I'm like, what the fuck? You have YouTube now.
You got it laid out for you.
It's all
how
right
to wholesale
there.
And get a good deal, how to flip the house, how to get some private money. Like, you got it all.
It's all right there. Do you remember Carlton Sheets by chance?
Yeah.
Remember buy properties with other people's money?
Yep.
I think that was the first course I ever bought. I listened to it and I was like, okay, I don't think I got my $149.99 out of this, but this is interesting.
Yeah.
Going around trying to find people who would hold the note, when you're buying your first property or whatever. But the get out there and just give it a shot has got more to do with being successful or not being successful than anything does.
Yeah, and I think America was built off of a unique group of people that wanted to leave all these other places. We're a country of migrants, immigrants more than anybody. So we have this spirit here that's far different, in my opinion, than anywhere else because we're the result of all the people that wanted something better, generations. But in Texas, I think that's a little bit stronger. The debtor laws in Texas are more protective than almost any other state. So it was kind of a debtor's haven in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So folks flocked here. So those were the wild. Of those that came to America, the wilder ones even came here. So that's why I think like where we're at right now is a really unique group of people in Texas.
Texas is. I haven't lived here. I don't get that bragging point like you do. I'm not a native, but I've been here from Washington State, so up north of Seattle. But the attitude in Texas is rad. It's ask forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah,
it's just that.
Enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can all go to hell, but I'll go to Texas.
You know, I think you have to have some responsibility with that, unless you're just a reckless asshole. But you have to be honest. You have to do the best you can. But with doing that, it makes me feel a lot better about going for what you want, because I didn't break any necks along the way intentionally, but I did the best I could, but I still went after what I wanted.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and I think there's, we've got so many oil and gas guys here and gals that they're like, oh yeah, made 10 million, lost 10 million. I still got up and went after it the next day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you start talking to people like that, there's not this weird, I don't know, and up in the north or in the real unionized states. Yeah. I don't know. And you're just like, no, fuck that. Let's go. Let's go. Like, let's just get cranking. Like, whatever you want to do, get going. Don't quit and don't start over. Just keep adding stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no doubt about the fact that action 100% outweighs your intentions. You can what do all the law of attraction people say? You got to visualize, you got to make a vision board.
It's very methodical.
All this shit, and I'm like, man, that took a long ass time. If you would have just gone and done some shit and talked to some people.
I think the same way. When folks say, "What are your goals? What are your plans?" I've told people a lot. You're gonna laugh, and I'm not that organized. I go to work, and I know I'm gonna do a lot of things that day. And like, what things? I'm like, things. I don't know things. I'm gonna go there and do things. And if I do enough of those things, and I do those things a lot, probably gonna get some productivity. Might make some money. That's how basic and terrible these goals are. But you know what? We do a lot of action, so we get a lot of things.
Yeah, man. I don't know. The lost a dog this week, man. So my brain's kind of all over. I know, dude. God,
how long have you had him or her?
8 years.
Oh my gosh.
I know, at little rescue buddy. Sucks, man. So I'm trying to remember it's affirmations, right? There's so much bullshit going around. And what I see is a lot of people gravitate toward whatever seems easiest. Right? Like, okay, I'm going to make a vision board because that's actually easier than going and meeting 10 people this week who I've never met, because that scares the shit out of me.
It's hard.
How about if you go right at the shit that scares you? Maybe that's where your strength lies.
Yeah.
You're in college, you want to be an architect because you loved architecture, especially modern architecture, but then you're like, well, they're not going to let me in
hard.
This. Yeah.
They're not going to, taking all these classes that are hard, they're not going to let me in the School of Architecture. I can't do that. Then it got the baseline changed to where, how do I just get a degree and get this over with? It was like the path of least resistance.
The fact that you hung in there, though, that's saying something.
Yeah, that's fair. I will. That is something that when I get on something, I'll do a pretty good job to stick at it.
Yeah.
So I think the perseverance issue has probably been a pretty strong topic for sure.
I think
I might suck at it, but if I stick with it, you can figure something out.
Well, I think this is a really good example for you to be able to set for your kids too. I don't think that myself, knowing what I know now, if I had this brain when I was 17, I don't think I would have gone to college, except that I got to play some fun sports and got to meet a lot of people.
That was a big deal. Now, I'll tell you what I think the biggest thing I took from college is the relationships, the time I spent with the people, because I developed a lot as a person. I was a little, nervous and timid and maybe just didn't feel as much self-worth in high school. And I got to college and it didn't improve substantially, but I learned to communicate with people. I learned to be around big groups. I learned to have relationships with people and not feel awkward or any of that. So that was big. But when it comes to curriculum, accounting and finance were the most important. I got to learn the basics and framework of accounting, and I use that every single day making decisions. Outside of that, all the rest of that coursework, I was kind of a waste of time. When I talk to my kids now, one of them, this girl can sing. I swear she can make a living singing. One of the other kids, he plays video games, and I don't know what he's going to do for a living yet. And the other two are babies, 3-year-old and 1-year-olds. But my wife and I have talked a lot about this. I don't really know. I don't think I'm going to push them to do anything. We've got some of our family members who've gone to like Harvard, Columbia, top schools. And they say they want to go there. And I say, if y'all want to go there, then you do it. If you want to go sing, I don't really I'm not going to push you anyway. Exactly what you want to do, we'll support you completely. And that's different because my parents came from parents that didn't go to college. So my parents were the first in their family to go to college, and it was mandatory. Logan, you're going to college. I'm like, man, I suck at this, but I'm going to do it because everybody's doing it. I look at it different. We've been incredibly successful, me and my wife, and we built something that none of the generations in our family have had before. And I look at it differently and say, kids, whatever the heck you want to do, let's do it. I'm not going to pressure them one damn bit.
Well, you know,
I don't even care if they make money. I'm starting to realize in this life, the money isn't what makes you happy. It's personal satisfaction comes from a lot of different things. I'm happy making money. I'm not happy spending it. So I'm going to die with a fucking ton of it. I don't care about spending it. I love making it and I enjoy it. And it's a scorecard, and that's where I get my satisfaction from. But if my kids don't care for that, I don't care. If she's a singer and doesn't make any money, I don't give a fuck. I'll support your whole life.
Yeah.
I don't care. Be a good person and go have fun and love what you're doing, I think.
Well, I mean, when you boil happiness down, I think that there is something to, you know, being on fire, you know, carrying a little bit of passion or a lot of passion. You know, everything runs on energy, and
I'm lucky to be able to make money at what I enjoy.
Yeah, that's
some people don't make any money at what they enjoy, but I don't want my kids to have to balance that if they don't have to.
What door opened for you that got you into real estate then? So you're trudging through college, you get yourself through college, you're fighting some other battles and demons of your own and getting through those. Where was there somebody who came to you and was like, "Hey, we're flipping this house. Have you got $500 you want to throw in?" Or what?
Man,
how'd that happen?
I always saw folks in real estate making money. It seems like everybody who had a lot of money had real estate. And I went to work for a broker after I got out of college in Houston. I worked for him for a little while, and then I went back to Temple, which is where I grew up. And my brother and I inherited a little bit of money at the time. One of our relatives passed away. So we go flip a couple houses. And we made some money. It was at the bottom of the market. It was 2009 or 2007 or something, right after it crashed. So these were small houses. Just fix them up, make 10, 15 grand. But I realized we didn't have the capital we needed. We didn't have the experience we needed. And I'm still fighting these demons. I'm still spending cash faster than I'm getting it. So I realized, gosh, this isn't going to work very long. So that's when I went to the oil field, not long after that. Right about the time I got sober, went to the oil field. And as I started to save, I'd blown all the money. I'd inherited, I don't know, $1 million or something like that. I blew it all. Porsche, King Ranch, tons of fucking drugs, and not having a real job. So I'm funding these flips, making a couple, but I'm spending way more. So at this point, I go to the oil field, and I got about $5,000 or $10,000 left after all the inheritance almost gone. And I thought, this point, I'm finally sober. I got a few dollars, just enough to pay my bills until this job takes off. And I started making money, and this is the first time I ever earned it, like a lot more money by myself. And I thought, I just saw how fast almost $1 million went. I got to protect this money because I don't know if I'll ever get it again. And this oil field job may not last forever. And I don't have skills to be getting paid like this anywhere but the oil field. So I turned into a hoarder. So I'm living in the man camp or the RV or whatever and hoarding every nickel. And then after I started to get several $100,000 saved up after a few years, I thought, all right, I'm not poor. I got some money. I got some skills. What's next? And I remember going to start buying land downtown San Antonio because it was the closest big city. And I'd go there on the weekends and thought, I need to invest this money. I want to make some money somehow. Real estate people are rich, right? Let me do that. So I'd seen Austin explode, super valuable, East Austin. I saw it in Houston. So I'll go to San Antonio. I'd go on the weekends and ride my bike and jog and just stay in a hotel. I'm single at the time. And I start to see this neighborhood that's just east of downtown. Downtown's expensive. You cross the highway, and it's like these vacant lots are $5,000, $8,000. And remember, this is 12 years ago. So I remember seeing that thinking, maybe I'll buy these lots. They're only $5,000 a piece. If they go up in value, they could explode if the value crosses the highway. But if they don't, I can probably sell these what I paid for them and at least get my money out. So the downside is basically zero. But the upside, if this stuff goes high, could be huge. So I started buying the lots. I've got a couple dozen of them after a couple years built up. And I get this realtor calls me. And he says, my client wants to make an offer on one of your vacant properties. I said, okay, how much? He tells me the property. He says, $200,000. I'm in the whole portfolio for $300,000.
Wow.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm about to get almost all my money back.
I'd say.
I got all these 20 other lots left.
I'd say holy shit would have been.
So then I realized
the starting.
Now these properties are worth more than I knew. Value's gone up, but I didn't even know it yet because I'm busy working in the oil field. Oh. Value's gone up. I'm about to get $200,000 in my pocket.
For one. And I think I ain't a poor oil field boy anymore. So that's how I got into real estate. Really, from there, it started to really take a life of its own. But that's
That's what really got me into it.
You seem like a hustler, like a hard worker. Growing up, was your dad on you? CPA dad? The CPA dads, engineer dads, they're pretty detailed dudes.
He was, yeah.
Were they all over you about study?
He was, but I think it had more to do with, the older I get, the more I start to think people have it or they don't. And I've always been antsy, busybody. One of the reasons I did drugs early on is because I need to calm down. So I'm so fucking jazzed. Yeah. And those drugs would just calm me down.
Oh yeah, no doubt. What are we talking here? We talking like benzos, or did you get all the way into the H and stuff?
Yeah, that's where it was.
Yeah,
yeah. It was like painkillers, especially heroin.
Yeah,
because it works. Like anybody who says drugs don't work is a liar. They work. They do exactly what they're
well,
advertising.
They haven't used the right ones. If they say they don't work,
and that's the unfortunate part. It does exactly what you think it's going to do.
When you say people either have it or they don't, are you saying like that hustler, ambitious? Yeah,
yeah. Because I've got friends that came from rich, from poor, from every color of all the ethnicities,
right?
And there's just this random mix of which ones just continued to stay poor or became wealthy or became successful from all the different backgrounds. And I just think these people have something or they don't. And the folks that have it, they also have to be in the right environment at the right time, all these things. Like I think there's a lot to it, but I don't know that it's so easy to just help someone get the motivation to build them. I don't know about that. You can increase their knowledge and IQ about business or help them make better risk management decisions or technical. But man, if they're not full of piss and vinegar, how are you going to run a big roof company without a ton of energy?
You better. Yeah. I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know.
Because you got that.
Yeah.
And so the question, let me ask it to you. Did you just inherently have that?
Yeah.
Or, you just got energy, right?
Yeah. I was just always
fired up
and very, if there was authority around, that was my target. Always has been.
Oh, okay.
I've always sounds like you possibly had a similar disposition to, that's the rule. Right on. Watch how I break this one too.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Or my case.
Nowadays it's hold my Topo Chico.
Yes, exactly. Hold my hydrating beverage, please. Yeah. No, that's interesting. But the way money works though, is that something that you dialed in on when you're studying in college, or did your dad help you some with that too?
So the neat part, my dad wasn't a successful CPA. He had alcoholism problems, but he understood the concepts very well. He would explain to me about his doctor clients that pulled up in the fancy Mercedes that had 5 cars. He would tell me they're at the edge. If they lost their job, they'd be selling cars off next month to pay bills. So those concepts happened from when I was a baby. But until I got in the real world and had to learn those lessons a little bit harder myself, I knew them. It's like reading a textbook, but when you get out there, it actually is different. So the neatest thing I probably did was inherit that money and blow it all. As frustrating as that is, people listening are probably like, dude, you blew that kind of money. Like, you're a moron. Look what all you could have done. But going through that, learning how hard it was going to be to rebuild is what caused me to be so financially disciplined. I looked at every dollar. I've earned it. What am I going to do with it? How do I keep it? How do I grow it? How do I manage it? That changed substantially around that era, probably. I just didn't want to be poor. I hated it because I didn't have any control.
Yeah.
And now that I have a bunch of money, for me, it's not about the dollars in the bank account. It's about I get to do what the fuck I want to do, when I want to do it, and no one can tell me not to do that. Our life is literally built exactly how we want it. I'm here because this is fun. I want to do it. My wife is at home right now playing with our 4 babies because it's exactly what she wants to do. And when I leave here, I'm going back there to play with our babies.
Right.
Because it's exactly what we want to do.
That I think is underreported benefit of entrepreneurship.
Now the other side of that is there are times where stuff happens that you want to fix the business, you want to keep it going, so you have to leave the family and mama and babies and go commit for 12, 18 hours a day for 6 days in a row to get that fixed.
Right.
But I'm doing that because I love it, and then I get to go back home and have fun.
Sure. Yeah. No doubt. I think that the independence, though, is not just what you get to do with your time, but also, hey, I have an awesome idea. Now I don't have to run it through 10 approvals to do it. I can just do it.
Try it.
And if it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, we're going to try something else. I had an oil guy on one of the first podcasts I ever shot, good buddy of mine, Derek Evans, and he kind of divested out of oil and gas, and now he builds automated car washes, has a big investment fund.
Huh.
Big time, yeah. And just oil
And he just said, what, let me go do this, and left the oil and went and did that?
I think he's still pumping oil. He's still got he still has some sites that he's pumping oil on and making money at, but just the up and down of it all, and the government, dipping a toe in there, or I'm going to lay all the Keystone people off when I get elected, or just whatever, just had him at the end of his rope.
That energy is heavy rags.
100%. But he said, man, I think people don't realize that when you're an entrepreneur, you're an artist. Like, whatever you want your business to be, that's what you can make it into. And I never had thought of it that way. A lot of people overuse that word. I don't even think that a lot of people who are in business for themselves aren't necessarily entrepreneurs. I'm not here to argue about whether the title on your social media bio is real or not. I'm
Philanthropist, entrepreneur.
Whatever you are and however you like to describe it is awesome. Get after it. But it's really fun to just go, hey, let's give this a shot. And when it does start to work, it's a really interesting sensation. Have you always been competitive? So I've always been.
I'd probably say so.
Yeah. Were you playing sports as a kid?
Yeah, I played soccer and football.
Yeah. It sounds maybe like you're more competitive with yourself, though.
Probably. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. The crazy part is guys like us, a lot of people would like to do what we're doing. They would be satisfied having what we have, and they would look up to us and admire us. And I still look at it all the time and say, gosh, I didn't work hard enough today. I'm not good enough. And it's stupid because my rational self tells me you are good enough. You did a great job. All these satisfying things, and my wife, my coworkers, my business partners, they all affirm those. And I know them. I look in the mirror and I tell you today with all affirmation, I know it. But I wake up in the morning and there's that little voice that still says, you're just not good enough. You need to go prove to me today that you're better. And you're like, fuck, let me get out of bed and let's go.
But what's wrong with that?
There's probably nothing wrong with that, because if I didn't have that, I don't know what I'd be doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't like that I'm in a constant state of discontent.
Right.
There's a verse in the Bible, Paul says what? For I have learned in whatsoever state I am therewith to be content. I think that's what the verse is. And if you translate the word learned there, it's either Greek or Hebrew. That's New Testament, right? So that would have been Greek, I guess. That word learned is like a physical protocol. It's like training for a marathon. It's like going and doing CrossFit. It's like getting ready for a fight. It's not I read it or I watched it on YouTube and now I'm good to go. It's I immersed myself completely. And so I think that being content is not something I'm good at, and I am now 100% cool with that. I don't every
at
day
this
wake.
age, you're probably more comfortable with it.
Have to be. Look at all this gray. Shit ain't changing.
Yeah,
I'm not getting up one day and just going, hey, one day I'm just going to be cool and go with the flow and let's have endless holidays and vacations. That's just
so let me ask you this.
Am.
When someone asks you, are you happy? How do you answer it on the back of saying, I'm rarely content?
Only when I'm busy am I happy. That's what I say. And so isn't it weird as you grow and mature that you're like, hey, I'm not going to beat myself up for this. I'm gonna like this about myself or whatever. I'm gonna be proud of this. I can get fired up and I can bring the heat and I can do things other people can't do. And instead of being, you're too intense, Logan, you just chill out. Look at all that you've been blessed with. Well, I mean, that's awesome. And that was yesterday. I want to win today and tomorrow and every day after that. And I hate losing way more than I love winning. So, and you almost said that too. You like winning, you like earning that money, but once it's earned, it's time to go. It's time to start over.
Yeah.
Keep after it.
That's the old dollar. Let's find the new dollar.
100%. How old were you when you hired your first person?
Well, so 2000 and golly, this is crazy. 2018.
Wow,
That's
only
only 4 years ago.
ago.
And look back, we have 23 people in our office right now. Yeah, wow. I hadn't even thought about it like that. I hired an administrative person to help me, and then I brought on a partner and started hiring them. And I don't know, just every time we need another role because we're behind, that's when I would hire. Instead of saying, let's hire a person to start this, we'd always be behind and we're overwhelmed. So we add and add and add. So we have an interesting mix of business. We haven't touched on this a lot, but my my company, I started with one guy. We became partners in 2000 and end of 15, beginning of 16. We started buying foreclosure houses and reselling them basically right off the bat. And as the real estate, I did the part of my own that I told you about, and then I joined forces with this guy. And we started to develop this business, and we were looking for just distress, looking for something. It's called deep value investing, buying something for less than it's worth. Literally anything, but you can't buy pencils cheap enough because you need a lot of pencils. Real estate, you can make a lot of money in one shot. So that started to develop. So we bought some other into liquor brand, food manufacturing companies, some small startup stuff. We invested in that. And then we've got different real estate business lines. There's a company that we own with several guys in it that does a lot of pre-foreclosures. Another guy that wholesales commercial and multifamily real estate. Another guy that flips ranches. So we formed companies with each of these guys and funded them, taught them, and let them go do their thing. So that's allowed a lot of growth across these different businesses. But myself, I was a really high producer in 2015 to 17, 18. And at that point, I was just smoked. I love what I'm doing, but I ain't got no more time. I'm running ragging. I'm missing deadlines. I'm missing dates. I'm screwing things up, and I realized this is not right. I need people. And the people thing is cool because the business has been growing at a breakneck speed, and I'm finding that I'm getting to do the parts of the business I like because I get to hire someone to help with this, and I train them my way. And then we actually, at this point, have a little layer of management. So now I get to go to my office and say, what do I want to fix today? What do I want to learn today? What do I want to do? What's fucked up? Maybe can I fix something? So it's a neat place to be where you're looking around the ship trying to figure out what to do today, but the ship's running, it's working, it's doing its thing.
That's great. Were there growing pains when you first started hiring people? Was it difficult for you to learn how to delegate? Is that something that came naturally to you?
That's common, yeah. I always struggle with that because I'd have this new person and I'd always write things down. Got that from my dad. Write it all down so I don't forget it, and then prioritize them and start at the top. Right. Then I have 4 pages of these to-do lists. And my new gal's over there not doing anything. She's like, hey, Logan, I'm not busy. So I remember giving her my 4 pages of lists and say, circle the things you think you can do on there. And she circled like half of it. And I thought, this is, okay, that's why I hired her.
Right.
Now, the neat thing is when I look at my to-do list now, it's pretty easy. I ping emails off to people in my group and say, hey, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you. And I look back at this stuff and say, what's going to drive a huge chunk of revenue or affect a major change? And that's what I get to do.
Oh, that's awesome. When the in early 2020, when the cold came out and everybody shut everything down, unless you were, big business, Walmart or whatever.
COVID,
yeah. But everyone had to shutter on down. Were there things that shut you down there? Were you able to kind of keep hustling forward, keep your people going remotely? How did you handle that? How did you address that when it all started happening and we were all like, what the hell?
Do?
Yeah.
Some of the manufacturing businesses, no one was watching. Everybody just continued to work. And we said, everybody keep your mouth shut. You want your business, stay in there. Nothing happened in those. Our real estate office is a relatively small office. That's the one that's got the 23 people, but that was 2 years ago. So at that time, I only had 12 people. So, and 4 of them were partners. So I basically told everybody, hey, you want to make money? Get your ass in here to work. You don't want to make money? Go home and follow the rules. And everybody came to work and everybody kept their mouth shut and nobody got COVID. So we continued what we were doing. A large part of that business is either managing assets we own or buying real estate and then putting it in the portfolio or reselling it to capture some equity. So we continued. Now, there was a crazy week. We were watching the stock market. We turned on the TV and it's just like, and I remember thinking, all right, guys, if this continues to happen and the market loses 50% of its value this week, we need to buy some stocks. So we did a good little play there and we said, what do we want to buy? We basically decided blue chips. So we were looking at the Carnivals and the American Expresses, a couple real estate companies, some index stuff, and some energy. And we just dumped a bunch of cash that week as the market was just flying like this. We did a stock play, got a bunch of that and watched the market just go boom right after COVID. Now I sold early. But when the money doubled, I said, I don't know how far this is going to go, when it's going to turn over, but I ain't smart enough to know that. But I know that we just doubled our money, sell the shit and get it out. So we did that in a 6-month period.
You do that a lot. You say, I'm not smart enough. You've said that like 4 times already in this podcast. You are smart enough, quite obviously.
Fair enough. Okay.
But I feel you. I'll be like, I don't really know much about this. I'm going to learn about this. Or I'm going to get with people who know more about it than I do. But you're plenty smart enough, bro.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah. The hiring people thing, though, man, were there any points at which you were like, I got to just go back and just be doing this. I got to get back to doing it all myself. Did you have, there was never a point. No. So it sounds like
I'll tell you the biggest change that actually did happen, though, that propelled me to want to hire more faster is my first admin was not that great, but she was better than 0 people. The second one was a lot better than the first one. But when I got the third one, dude, this gal is like a freaking ninja. I'm not kidding you. She is just, I don't even know how to put it into words, but before you ask, it's already done. And when you ask for it to be done, it's done. They don't even come back and she doesn't even come back and tell you it's done. It's done, and it's done as good as you want. I mean, I was just a brilliant, lucky find. But what I've started to understand is what she had she had 0 experience in her business. But what she had, it was a referral from a friend. She had bandwidth. She could handle a lot. She had IQ. She had the interest to come to this work and do it all. And she was pleasant to be around. That's all she had. She did not have any tech. She came from an education. We changed the way we hired.
I bet.
I want you to specifically not have any experience in real estate. Yes. And I want you to have these 4 things. And since we started hiring for those 4 things, holy shit, dude, our hires.
Really?
And it's neat. Well, now here's another thing I learned. She was paid low when she started because that's just what we paid. But when I started to realize that she was as productive as multiple people, I started giving her raises. So my assistant gets paid $90,000.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But you know what? She's never going to want to leave. She does everything. She does it so good. And then when she recruits to bring in new people for our company, she's the best recruiter we have.
Because she's recruiting herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a big turning point of the type of person we need to look for. And so because our margins were good and we're doing really well, I realized I have to pay people really well because we're too small of a company to be dealing with turnover. It's expensive. It slows you down. We find the best people and we pay them really well. And as a result, business works so much better. So that was the most interesting learning lesson in hiring. There's never a time where I said, I want to go backwards. It was, wow, this is the game changer.
We need more of this. Yeah. Many more of this right here, of this template.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who might be listening or watching this, or when they do, they're going to be like, yeah, but you need money to pay good people. What comes first, the money or the good people? The good people or the money?
You have to have the money.
So in a business...
So I was a sole producer. Right. I was the one that figured out how to do these real estate deals, and I was making money doing them. And they were good margins.
Finding them, selling them,
I was
running them, and wearing every hat.
But I figured, I know this works. I mean, at that point, I think the last year that I was doing by myself, I think I netted like $600,000 or something like that. So I remember thinking, I got to hire people, and if I take this 600 and let's just say I spend 100 by hiring 2 people, let's see how much more my top end grows. And when I started hiring those 2 people, I was no longer writing contracts. I was no longer calling the title company. Someone was doing that, and it gave me so much more time to be in the production seat. So I realized every time I hired, my revenue grew. So
you could delegate out these little tunnel vision tasks that might be in a $50 an hour or $100 an hour bucket, and you're over here concentrating on the $5,000 an hour and $10,000 an hour tasks, right?
Now, as the company's grown, I realized I could probably not hire people to do the very technical finding the deals like I was and closing them. But when I found people that were good enough to do that, I couldn't afford to hire them. So I made partners with them.
Okay.
So that's why I've got a group of partners in my office, but they're partner. There's a separate company for each of those.
Yep.
They own that baby.
There's a difference, right?
They're with me.
That ownership, it definitely creates a different level of productivity.
Yeah. Like they're hunting for their tribe. Like they own this. Like they're in the game.
Yeah. The giving people ownership is something that I think comes from an abundance mindset, right? Which is, that's a big televangelist keyword these days too, right?
Yeah.
Give me more, God will bless you, or whatever. But it's very true that once people feel like they own something, or like, hey, if I work a little harder, I'm going to make more money. That's not something that everybody who goes to work every day gets to experience. So your culture at your companies is it's pretty, it sounds pretty positive.
Very.
Everybody's pulling in the same direction.
I sense that. So I still will interview people I interview every employee. Like for a hiring position, I always interview. I think that someone else can train them. They can be part of somebody else's team, but I want to make sure that when they come in, they match our group. And we had such a high success rate that I think that is part of our secret sauce. They come in, but I tell them in the interview, this is about productivity. The people that we value the most are the productive ones. And I don't really care if you wear a suit. You can dress like me. You can wear some jeans and a decent shirt. Don't really give a shit. And if you show up at 9 or 9:15, I don't really care about that either. If you're high productivity and you're fun to be around, you can make this work. That's what gets you there.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't look at when people clock in. We didn't have a time clock. I don't look at that stuff. I don't care.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you determine in an interview process, an application interview process, who's productive? That seems very tough if that's like one of the most important things for any business. I've always wondered that.
I think I probably weed out about half of the people that aren't productive by talking about how important production is and letting them know how meaningful it is to us. But I think when you're talking to folks, if you're really aware, if you really pay attention and you're really thinking about their behavior and the way they talk about what it is they do, I think if you can really get in tune with them over the course of an hour, like you can figure them out. Like, I think you're a bright guy. Within the hour or however long we're talking today, you're going to walk away with a really good sense of who I am, probably. You're paying attention. You're sharp. You give a shit. I think if you do that, you can... We've only failed... Of the 23 people we've hired, 2 of them were bombs. We had to let them go. But that's a great hire rate.
Stats, man.
That's what I think.
Now, you're not hiring... all those people who you hired, those are all not people that you're putting into a sales position, right?
12 of them are sales. 12 or 13 are... It's either acquisition or disposition, but they're sales. They're forward-facing to a client, buyer, seller.
One thing you said about 15 minutes ago, hey, every hire that we made was because we were overwhelmed. We were behind. Delivering the deliverables so important when you're selling anything to anyone ever. But your deliverables can be peerless. They can be rad as hell, awesome. If you're never selling anything and you're never signing new business,
Yeah.
Those deliver. So is there a chicken egg thing there for you on the front end? Are you more concerned with let's get out there and find as many deals as possible, and then come hell or high water, we will figure out
What to do with them.
if there's a problem, if there's and I know you do some very interesting technical title work as well, which I want to talk about in a second. But if you were walking a new entrepreneur in, like we said before we went on camera, well, what do I do to get started? Get fucking started. Would you tell them you got to be able to talk to people, be pleasant to be around, and you got to be able to close deals if you want to run something?
I would say yes. If you're not pleasant to be around, you're not good with people, you better be really fucking good at something. Because I know people that aren't great in those, but they're still very successful. But they have some other skill that's just a highlight, like a major. So for me, I felt developing that and picking people that can develop it and are good works for us. But some people have really strong suits in other ways that make them do well.
The sales part of it, though, for you, obviously, when you started to figure real estate out, you were going in as an investor more than anything. Was your goal on those small parcels in San Antonio to
knock on
buy
those
them
doors
and hold
myself.
them?
So that was me trying to figure out how do I convince this person to sell me the real estate. But the neat part is the neighborhood wasn't very valuable and it didn't have a lot of wealth at the time. So folks were sick of paying taxes on this lot that they kept having to mow. So they would sell to me very easily, but I still had to gain their trust, spend some time with them, get them to sign a contract, get them to let me in their house. I didn't live there. I didn't have an office. I'm jogging the neighborhood, surveying, making notes, come back the next day in nicer clothes and knocking on their door. Can you let me into your kitchen table? I want to talk to you about that vacant lot next door.
So a lot of them did live in the neighborhood that they also owned lots in?
Yeah. A lot of them would be a house with a vacant lot next to them that they owned, or it'd be one house across 4 lots. It was just a big tract, and you could buy the edges.
Did you have sales experience, or was this just another thing that just came to you? You just get in there, start talking to people. Yeah. Hey, I think I can help you. If you're interested in help, I'm your guy type of thing?
Yeah, it was more of that.
More just, hey, if our goals align, we can both help one another.
Yeah, I loved it. That was fun. I was getting there thinking, how am I going to get them to give me this? And then I'd walk out of that house with a contract sounding like wanting to jump, but I can't because I don't want them to see me looking stupid.
Right. How did you learn what type of contract you needed to get signed and all of those types of things?
My mom was a realtor.
Okay.
Mom, what do I do? Here's the contract. I'm going to email it to you. Great, thanks. I just read it, and there's a blank. I'm like,
Yep.
what goes in the blank?
Cool.
Kind of like you said earlier, just go do.
Just
you figure that
start
stuff out
figuring it
along
out,
the way.
man. Yeah, that on the job training, live fire. There's something that happens to your mind when you're sitting across from someone who you really need or want something from.
Yeah.
You're
You dig
on
deep.
you are hyper aware, you're locked in, you're bringing every ounce of energy, every ounce of charisma.
That's what I was saying earlier that I don't think you can teach, dude.
Yeah.
The first time you sit down in front of somebody trying to sell them a roof job, you're looking into their eyes thinking, what is in their way? They tell you something, you're thinking, how do I get around that problem to get them to sign this deal so I can install this fucking roof?
Right.
Like everything that is in your life right now, at that moment is right there.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving everything, and that's why you continue to get contracts signed, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. You have at a certain point you have to establish credibility, especially if you start to get larger like you did, then you're going to go hire people. They want to know, well, is this guy like all the other guys? Am I actually going to get paid?
Yeah.
Can I trust what he's saying? Those types of things are important. That's where the deliverables do really show up if you can't deliver them, because you lose your credibility, and credibility's really hard to get back. When you're small and it's just you knocking on doors, these people see this young, good-looking kid who's going to hustle, who's about to put cash in their pocket for something they don't even want.
They're like, sure.
Please. Yeah. When you do go start to sell your idea, though, to people to come work with you and for you, it sounds like it's more of a work with over at your operation, though, than a work for.
Yeah, and part of the reason I felt like I was really good at selling employees to come work with us is because I cared so much. And I had somebody ask me in an interview the other day, this is really interesting. The most recent hire, we hired him 2 weeks ago as a project coordinator. We're doing some developments. And he asked the gal that was hiring with me and me, what would y'all miss if y'all couldn't come here to this job anymore? And I thought, that's an interesting question to ask an employer. And I said, well, I'll tell you, it's immediately on the tip of my tongue. I don't need another dollar to live the rest of my life. I need no more new money. But I love this. This is part of me. If I were to lose my family, that would be a part of me lost. If I lost this business, that would be a part of me lost. I do this because this is what's in my blood every day. So I'm coming here every day to have fun and make money and keep score and grow and stay excited. That's the work environment that I'm creating for you. That's what I want you to come join. And I remember telling him, my role is to make you successful. If you show up with those 4 things that I mentioned earlier, you bring those here and you're not successful, that's my fault. And I take it personally, and I love this. So if you show up here with those 4 things, I'm going to make you successful. And they're like, damn, that's
for
a pitch.
Are you getting...
But it's true.
Yeah. Are most of the people who approach you because they want to work with you, is that coming from social media, networking, friends and family, all of the above? How's that work?
No, we have a process. We tried to make a process so that it's easy. So we go out to the 3 of the hiring sites. We put our resumes out there, or our job descriptions out there. We wait till we get 100 applicants. And then my ninja that I was telling you about, she goes through the 100 and scans them and narrows them down to 20. Just by looking at it, quick, throw away 80 of them. From that 20, she'll read through them and say, all right, like closely and methodically this time, and say, I want to interview 10 of them in person, so I need to cut this by half. So she'll cut that by half after a phone interview with those 20. After the phone interview with those 20, she'll invite no more than 10 to the in-person interview. It's 45 minutes, back to back to back all day. And we usually interview between 5 and 8 people that day. And then we always get 1 to 2 people out of that. So we start with 100, narrow it down to 1 or 2.
When you hear people these days talking about, man, it's so hard to find good people. You can't find bartenders or waiters, waitresses. People work here, work there, work everywhere. I'll have some business gurus in here sometimes, and they're like, oh, no, that's fucking bullshit. If you say you can't find good people, that's all on you. And I don't know if I believe that either. There's definitely been this weird
Depends on what you're hiring
sea change, though, in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's odd. Have you noticed that in your core at all, or most of those people?
For us, it depends on what you're trade for. So, for example, if you're hiring for like trade work like yours, that's a tough business because guys are getting offered $2 more an hour. They bounce to these guys. Their uncle that runs the crew is going to that company or whatever, man, or work gets slow for a couple months. They bounce. Like, that's tough, in my opinion.
It is.
But with us, it hadn't been super hard. I I don't know.
Are a lot of those salespeople you're bringing in, were they already like born networkers? Were they already networking, or were you really saying? Yeah. Were you going at the salespeople with I don't want you to have any experience?
No, they had to have sales experience. Okay. But I said no real estate. Real estate.
Really? I had another question on this.
Right? No real estate
intentionally.
Experience. Okay, go Sohail. Yes.
Because earlier I've been thinking about this. You said you're made it a condition where they have no real estate experience. What's some of the backgrounds of some of the people? I guess sales is sales, but in other fields. But what about your other employees?
So when you're looking for the people that do acquisitions or dispositions, those are the guys on the phone trying to buy the property and then to sell it to make the money. We're looking for people that have been selling cell phones, cars. Dude, we got a gal that used to do pharmaceutical sales. She's making more with us now than she did at farm sales. But we're looking for people with that kind of mid-level sales, and I'll get to the admin part in a second. But traditionally, we've hired high earners, and when we bring them in, they had to be maximum performer to get back up to that number, and we failed. We did that once. We knew it was wrong. Our goal is to find people working in a cell phone store are making less than our average performers. So we know that if they come in and perform as good as they were at the cell phone store, but in our environment, they will make more money. So we're bringing someone from a pay grade here, and we're always bringing them up. And they don't have to work their way up through a company like they would at the cell phone store.
What are you advertising that job for on Indeed or WiseHire or whatever?
We're just advertising
acquisitions and sales.
It's either it's usually sales acquisition, sales disposition.
Interesting.
But part of the reason we've had to go through 100 resumes because we get a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
So we really have to filter down. Now on the folks that are doing the admin stuff, we have operations managers, we have coordinators, stuff like that. We don't really look for any specific experience. We put out the job role and we say what it is that we want them, what we are looking for in their personality and what their day-to-day is.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I like to say no experience necessary because when I got out of college, I couldn't get the job that I wanted, high paying, because I didn't have the experience, and it was so shitty.
It's bullshit.
But I knew I could do a lot of those jobs, so I thought, I'm going to take that barrier away from
There's a lot of people who missed out on your talent because they wanted you to have experience.
That's how I felt.
On the admin side of things, you need people who are organized and who are more on the, more of an operations type mind, maybe thinking a little more linear, in a little more linear fashion, not quite as chaotic and creative maybe as your sales type folks are.
Probably, yeah.
What are your operations people doing? Getting everything in line to get a deal closed, making sure that we've got proof of funds, making sure that we have clear title, all that shit.
So we have a transaction coordinator, and that's a purely administrative role. She's getting earnest money to title companies, communicating with buyer, seller, title company, and with us, lots of coordination. We have a project coordinator for our real estate development stuff. He's the go-between between me and the general contractor that's building the project. So we got that guy. I've got another gal at the front desk. She manages over operations, and she's doing everything outside that. We've got accounts receivable, accounts payable, the clerical type stuff, getting the bills paid, doing the basic accounting.
So you'll buy land and build buildings on it and then sell it or put businesses in it?
So that's I don't like construction because typically return on construction is less than the return on just buying cheap and reselling.
Welcome to the club. You don't like construction either. All right. I knew there was something I liked about you.
What I have found, though, is I started doing light industrial, the metal buildings and the warehouses, and I love them because they're so easy to manage and there's such an extreme demand, and the competition for those assets is not there. Like on multifamily, all the big funds are going to that. Prices are up.
Okay.
Not this.
What do you mean by there's no competition? Because you talked about this a little bit with Corey in the live there. You used an example, older gentleman in his 80s. He built this building as a metal building. He had his own. See, I listened. Told you.
That's it. Yeah.
He put his business in there. He had he was stocking some things. He was manufacturing a little bit too.
You in 20 years are my typical seller. Got a roof company. Business is growing. You say, I'm going to build my shop. You're going to build yourself a 20,000 square foot shop so you can keep all your materials inside, your trucks, security stuff. You've got a room to have, like, the crews come in, they'll have their meetings before they hit the job that day. It's you. You build that building, but when you retire, you're my seller.
But not a lot of people are going after that, like the REITs are going after the multifamily. Why? Because the big spreadsheets and balance sheets are saying, hey, we need housing, pour all your financing in there. So
housing,
everyone's following the housing.
Well, housing, but also they want to deploy a large amount of money at once. So when they're looking for multifamily, they're trying to get a $5-10 million deal. And when they come to the industrial stuff, when to deploy 5 or 10 million like the funds want to do, they were looking for the concrete tilt wall, the big buildings, 100,000 square feet.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit about the 30,000 and below square foot. Hardly. There are not very many investors that are interested.
When you say no one, you're saying that if that's something that interests you as an investor, that's something you should definitely dial in on.
When I'm talking to sellers, no one's making these people offers. No one's calling them.
Crazy.
No one cares.
Crazy. Because the only calls they are getting are from big funds who are...
Well, that's the bigger buildings, though. Those people aren't calling my little 30,000 square foot or less. They ain't calling them.
So you're talking about like a mechanical company like HVAC or like...
granite contractor, cabinet manufacturer, landscape company, moving company. Dude, all the trades, man. A painting company.
Interesting.
It is very interesting because that's my real estate passion, or those types of businesses.
You would be so blown away how affordable it is to build. So that's the stuff I'm building. We usually buy that stuff at 50 to 70 cents on the dollar, but I can't buy it fast enough to satisfy my interest at where I want this thing to go.
You know, it's interesting that is something you're dialed in on, because what was deemed essential when the cold came out? Who got to keep going to work? Those guys.
I didn't specifically notice that, but our business continued there. So the reason I started developing that stuff is because I can't buy it at a discount at the high enough rate. So I'm having to build the stuff so I can grow the portfolio. For you, where the gold would lie is build yourself a 10,000 square foot building and cut the thing into thirds, 3,000, 3,000, and 3,000. Lease out to.
Yep.
You won't be paying any rent to yourself because of theirs. You'll probably break even with their rents, but they're paying that whole thing off. You'll have 20% in the deal and your bank will finance the rest. In 7 years, it'll be paid off, and you'll own that $1 million or $2 million piece of real estate free and clear.
Yeah.
All you got to do is fund the construction and get your bank loan.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to manage because it's triple net lease.
Yeah.
They pay their share of the taxes and insurance and maintenance.
So if somebody wanted to do that, if they were a one-off mom and pop type business, a service business, something construction, or I just call it sweat based. If it takes sweat, sweat and effort to do it. They should reach out to you and talk to you about, hey, like, I don't even really know where to start, but I know I've got cash flow. I know how to put a building together. I know where generally I would want this to be located. Maybe there's not something pre-built that's available, but man, you drive back through the back ends of a lot of these suburbs around here, and it just goes on for miles and miles, the self-storage facilities, and then the other similarly built where it's a huge office park and it's got a little office and a garage.
Bingo.
And there's paintless dent repair guys in there, detailers, all of those types of things.
So I look at this in two sections on what I call light industrial. There's the flex space that generally has an office and the warehouse, and they'll have like a storefront glass and a roll-up door. That's one 15 to 2,500 square foot unit. They have a bunch of those. There's that. And then there's the more warehousey type where it's literally just the shell.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that type of construction is you're doing underground, you're grading, clearing grading, underground utilities, slab, red iron erection, you skin that building with metal, and that's it.
Yeah.
You got 6 trades.
Yeah.
It's the easiest kind of construction. You want to build an apartment complex or an office, tile, cabinets, balance the air conditioning. Holy shit.
Bro.
You know.
Yes.
Oh, you got to call that roof guy. You got 20 trades.
Yeah.
Build a metal building. Dude, it's so much easier.
Yeah, and there's a lot of overlap there, too. So you could group a build like that in with just 3 foremen if you knew what you were doing.
Oh, yeah.
When you're out, if you're just the average everyday business owner, but I want to add this asset to my bottom line, this building. What do you do? Just go hustle like you did when you got started and you're knocking on doors in downtown San Antonio? Or you going through and looking at lists? Are you teaming up with somebody like you and saying, I got about this much, I want to put this type of thing together? What would be the easy button, if you will? I'm not saying that the process would be easy, but if someone had a business and they wanted to add an appreciating asset like a building on land that's also then going to shelter taxes, right? Because then the building's going to depreciate.
That helps.
Is the easy button there if you have a busy work schedule and life schedule, but you know that this money's just burning a hole in your bank account sitting there, to come chase down somebody like you who can kind of show you the ropes?
That is part of it. You know, I'll answer it this way. How would I tell you to do it? You, I would say, have a lot of commonalities with the guy that owns the plumbing company, the mechanical company. You figure things out on your own. You know your way around construction. You're sharp. You got some capital. So that exact answer is you conceptually know how to build one of those buildings already. There's some little traps you'd want to know just to make things a little bit easier, a little bit more cost effective. So I would say call some guy like me. I spend way too much time on the phone helping people for free because I like the shit. Someone like me, there's some guys in Houston, a lot of people on the internet you can find that, you know, do the construction of this type of stuff. Call them and ask them to help you a little bit, pay them $5,000 to help you with your feasibility stuff. And they'll help you with the architect, the engineers, some of that basics. Once you get the plans, then you go build the thing, because building these, if you're around construction, I just say do it. This ain't hard at all.
It's not at all.
Or some of the GCs in commercial construction that are pretty good, man, their markup isn't super high. So if you're going to pay cost plus 10%, pay them the 10%. You go back to run your roof company, pay them cost plus 10.
Would it be smart, because I'm trying to set my financing up? I don't mind risk, but obviously I'm not out there just hanging my nuts over a chop saw at any given day just for the fun of it. Am I trying to get the leases signed for my future tenants, or is that cutting off my nose despite my face effort wise? They'll come.
You can do that, but you build it, they will come. As long as you're in an area where there's some demand. Here's the other thing. If depending on how big you're going to build this thing, let's just say you only need 2 tenants, you only need 2 tenants.
Yeah.
Most of these developments are stabilized when they're finished. Their tenants signing leases beforehand with a sign in the front, usually. The other thing is SBA is a really good source for business owners for lending. I can't do it as an investor, but if it's for your business, a lot of people have bought these buildings from me with SBA loans, and I'd be willing to bet they have a construction loan product. So they have very favorable financing terms. It's a pain in the ass to apply for them, but long terms on the loan, low interest rates, and it's easier to apply. The credit barriers are usually easier for small business.
Would you, I mean, you could even go at it from the hard money angle, can't you? If you say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to rent these out. I mean, just like if you were going to buy, like, let's just say a 10-unit apartment complex. Yeah. I'm going to rent all these out. Or they're already rented out and there's people living in them. I need this money. They're pretty much, I mean, you can have some serious warts on your financials, and they're going to be like, God, this is still a really good deal.
Some banks will do DSCR, debt service loans, and they're basically, it's just an income loan. There's an asset-based type loan. They still want your credit to be decent, but they'll do it that way on a stabilized, already completed product. So for someone like you, I would say going to look for one, it's going to take you a lot of time. You're going to have to really figure out how to go after real estate and source it direct. I think that would be tougher because you have to learn a lot of skills to do this one time. So I wouldn't do that. I would say go find yourself a couple acres in the right area, call the owner, ask if he'll sell it. If you will, get a 120-day feasibility on it, and get someone to help you drop some basic plans and make sure it all pencils out, then close on it. I would say build it yourself, because sourcing yourself takes so much time. You got to figure out all this stuff.
I mean, obviously it would be way easier to just go buy something that already had a parking lot, a building, all of that.
It'd be easier to buy, but find it at the right price.
That's the problem.
And if you build it, you know, these buildings, I'm able to get these things built for $50 a square foot plus land. Dude, you can't buy them for that. In our town, they're selling for between $100 a foot and $170 a foot.
Yeah, so you're already leveraging in major value right from the beginning by saying I'm not afraid to build this myself.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Before we get off that, I wanted to hold on. Sorry, I'm holding my mic up while using the computer. I wanted to look at this, your most recent video. I thought Jess would find.
Yeah, that's a great video. Yes, pump that volume up.
In commercial real estate, I lowered my electric bill to $0 and got a tax credit by getting a solar carport. That took my $2,000 electric bill down to $0 a month, increased the cap rate on my building, and saved me money every day. For more tips on how to make money on commercial real estate, like this post and follow me. I'll show you how.
That's
2 ways to make money on commercial real estate. I lowered my electric bill to $0.
For people who are watching this who don't understand what, you just spoke Greek when you said cap rate. Can you can you explain what you mean when you say that to people who are very interested in this topic, but little things like that scare them and they run off and
the verbiage.
They go binge some Netflix instead of building something with their life. Yeah.
What that means is a capitalization rate. It's basically the return on your investment. So if you have $1 million building and it costs you $1 million and it has $100,000, brings in $100,000 a year in rent, that's 10%. If it's net rent, it's 10%. It's basically your return. But the capitalization rate's a fancy way of saying you subtract all the expenses, your net operating income over your cost basis.
Mm-hmm. When you
lower your expenses, your value in the building goes up.
I'll be darned.
So, like, for example, if an investor wants to buy property and they say, I want to buy on a 6 cap, they want a 6% return. Well, the lower the expenses are, the higher your net income is. But that makes the building more valuable because it's a higher rate of return, I guess you could say. So the lower your expenses get, the more someone will pay for the building to still get the 6%. It's like a business. You lower your expenses, your return gets bigger.
Exactly.
When it comes to the solar, does that always trade off for the credit and zero energy? Does the credit cover your whole cost of installing them for commercial?
So that's a good question. If the tax credit for the solar completely wipes out your monthly expenses for your electric bill, it depends on how much room you have to install them. It depends on the cost to install them. For example, on mine, we did the math backwards about how many kilowatts I was supposed to use a month based on my prior energy bills. And the solar company produced a report and said, if we build this carport, we can get enough solar panels to generate enough energy in this area. How much sun you get, you'll get it. So what was really interesting is that it was about $40,000 to build a regular carport, but that carport was $120,000. But since the solar panels are attached to the roof, you can get a tax credit for the entire construction. So long story short, I paid $120,000, got the tax credit, and got to save $80,000 on my taxes that year. So it really only cost me $40,000 out of pocket. But immediately it wiped out my electric bill. So I went from paying $2,000 a month to paying nothing.
Yeah.
So it only cost me $40,000.
Amazing.
To now save $24,000 a year in expenses. It's paid for itself in less than 2 years.
Did you figure that out by just getting in there and talking to solar guys and looking at the numbers?
I didn't want to do it. My business partner's a CPA, and he's like, this is the best thing in the world.
Okay.
The future is solar. I'm like, fuck that. It's $120, not doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, we got this tax credit. I'm like, fuck that, not doing it. And then he came back and said, it's $80,000. I'm like, what?
Interesting.
What do you think of residential?
So the tough part is I don't think you get I looked at doing it at my house. I don't think you get the same credits.
No, you don't.
So it actually makes, in my opinion, no sense.
Solar on residential is such a riddle. And if you talk to solar guys, you can't ever get a bottom line on that. How long is it? What is the cap rate? How long is this going to take to pay itself back?
By the time they paid the solar panels off, the solar panels are 20 years old. Who keeps their house for 20 years? Nobody.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all keep getting those ads on YouTube, but it's like constant.
Oh, I mean, solar's everywhere all the time, like that movie, Everywhere All at Once All the Time, or whatever the hell that movie was called. It's everywhere.
Got to see that, bro.
It's badass. You have to check it out. It's the shit. Solar is solar's interesting that you were able to make it work for you. You seem like you're all about the win. So whoever you have to get around you to build a team that wins, how'd you get lined up with this genius CPA?
You know, that was a pretty lucky find. He was one of the other few East Side land investors at the time I was buying. Okay. And I decided to try. I'm gonna figure it out, right? I'm gonna go rezone this land to a better density zoning so it's more valuable. So I'm up here at the zoning hearing with my monkey suit on doing the dog and pony show. And I go sit down and he goes like, hey, I got the lot next to you and I got the zoning notice that you're going to build these condos. So I wanted to meet you. So we get talking, chopping it up, have lunch a couple times. And this guy is, 7 or 8 years older than me. He's a partner at the 4th largest firm in the United States. He's got a real estate portfolio. He's successful. He's super smart. And we started doing some deals together. And I realized, man, like, this dude's bright. He had concepts that I didn't understand yet. So we kept working together. And after about a year, our books were a fucking mess. Because I got my company, he's got his. We're doing a deal. And then the money I put in, he's got to make me whole and then split it up. The money he put in, he's got to divvy up. And finally we said, man, do you want to make this bigger?
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
How long did you work the oil field before you said, the hell with that, I'm going full on into this? Was it right when you got that $200,000 phone call?
I got laid off. So I was there for 5 years.
Okay.
And I hired this guy to help in my department. And then they promoted him to my equal because I'm slacking. I'm doing real estate deals in my office, shutting the door. We got a meeting, go back, and I'm doing real estate deals and taking naps in my office. Like, I did not work for like 6 months. I'll never forget. We had this big old meeting, and they promoted that guy that I hired. They promoted him to level with me. Well, the big meeting, they promoted him above me. And I'm like, oh, good for him. I'm back on my phone trying to do deals. Well, he comes into my office the next week, closes the door, and says, Logan, we need to talk. And I'm like,
they made him fire you?
I'm like, oh, he thinks he's bad because he's my boss now. Well, he fired me.
Wow. But
so at that point,
you would have been on your way anyway, though, right?
dude, that was the best thing because I was at the time I'd overstayed my welcome there. I needed to get in real estate full time, and by him doing that, that's when I said, man, let's just do this full time. And I already been doing a couple deals with the CPA, and at that point, I said, man, I want to try to make a living at this.
How old were you?
That was 2015. I'm 41 now, so 7 years ago. So 34. Yeah.
Wow. You already have kids then?
Yeah, I got 4 kids now.
But then did you?
No.
So the kid thing's been that's been a recent development. How's that changed you as a person?
So it's cool. So when I met my wife, when she was my girlfriend, so she had 2 kiddos. They were relatively young, 3 and 4. So I met her second day. She's like, I got kids. I'm like, no, I didn't know that. Okay, are they cool? Are they not? What's up? Because this is something, right? Like, if this goes somewhere, I need to know.
Yeah.
So we dated for about a month, and finally, I need to meet these kids. She's like, you ever dated anybody with kids? I'm like, nope. She's like, well, are you worried? I'm like, no. If they're cool, it works. If they're not, it doesn't. Like, I don't know what else to say. Let's figure it out.
Sure.
So I met them. They were cool as fuck, dude. There was an absence of a strong male figure in their life. And I'd never been a dad before. I didn't even have a baby yet. So I'm like now become a dad.
Man.
But it was perfect timing. We get along so well. The kids are great kids, man.
That's awesome.
So it worked. So I had my first 2 kids at 3 and 4 years old.
Wow.
And then a couple years later, we got married and started having more.
Man. Did your blood pressure go up knowing that you had 3 more dependents, or were you just really along for the ride at that point? Man. It doesn't seem like you dwell on I don't know, it seems kind of scary. I mean, are you just
I don't dwell much on that now.
Are you just a jump in the pool, no matter if you're in the shallow end or the deep end type of guy?
Kind of, yeah. Now, at that time, though...
Might shatter your ankle bone.
But we'll be all right. You swim with your arms, right?
There you go.
So my wife was my girlfriend at the time. She was kind of saying, hey, I'm not here to fool around. Like, once we got to like each other and we're serious, I'm not going to waste time here. I got kids, and I was a little bit scared about making that commitment because I'm only 5 years in to be able to support myself, being a junkie, being a loser, all these things. Now I got money in the bank. It's starting to come in. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good about supporting myself, but I'm not just going to now support one person. I'm going to be supporting 2 more because their dad is a deadbeat. So I'm thinking, this is kind of scary. And we had a couple of conversations for a few months, and then she told me, she's like, in nicer words, you need to shit or get off the pot. And I remember thinking, I don't like no ultimatums.
Rushing me.
Yeah, you know how, your personality would be like, what the...
Yeah, I would be. You're right.
I remember just saying, Logan, you like this girl? You care about her? You like the kids, care about them? Shut up. Don't talk shit. Listen, I was like biting my tongue so hard, and I just listened. I thought about it for a couple of days, and I remember thinking, if anybody you're going to take a risk on in this world is out there, it's going to be her. She's a great person. She's a great mom. She's beautiful. She doesn't challenge me. We get along. So I remember thinking, let's give it a shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And once again, you're off to the races.
It worked.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm glad it worked, man. That'd have been a fucking bomb, but I'm glad it worked.
You also seem like you live very intuitively. Like you said, if people ask you for your goals every morning, you're like, I don't really know. I mean, I'm just going to go do stuff. I'm going to do stuff. Do you concentrate on like self-improvement? Obviously, you took this vegan thing. You're still doing that?
Mm-hmm.
You run.
Yeah.
Stay fit. All those types of things. Are those things that you do for yourself? Or those things that you do because you want to do them? Or are they things that you feel some days like Goggins will say he looks at his sneakers for 30 minutes sometimes before he puts them on? How's that work for you?
I don't know, man. I've never thought of. No one's asked me that.
Yeah.
So we did touch earlier on. I want to feel better because I want to be able to think and perform, and I want to feel like I have it all together. And those things help build that. The part of it was vanity early on. I want to feel good about myself and look good and feel confident. But I remember when my performance in my brain and my body, my sleep started to get good. I like that. So at this point, I'd say it's at least 50% or more wanting things to be better. So there's a focus, but I think at this point I've figured out how I can run pretty good on it, and I'm kind of just following the model at this point. I'm just doing it.
Yeah,
that's the deal.
Have you noticed that as you've gotten more dialed in, everything else, obviously you've said it almost, your business, your family, everything is is that a discipline thing to you? That word really means different things to different people. It sure is a trending topic, whether it's Jocko or Joe Rogan or Joe Donnelly or whoever. They're all talking about, oh, yeah, you got to make your bed or you're going to go broke or whatever.
I don't make my bed. I'm kind of a pig. My office is a shithole. I got stuff stacked up everywhere. For me, it's the discipline about production. I want to get some things done. I care about the result, the output. I want to build a strong business. I want it to be stable. I want it to produce a lot of money. I want it to retain a lot of money. And I want people to be happy there. That's the discipline there. On our household, I want it to be strong. I want it to be stable. I want it to retain. I want it to be happy. So that's really what I try to head towards. The discipline for me is creating those environments. And the neat thing is, I think the discipline transfers onto the personal, food, athletic stuff because it helps support those things. So it's like anything I could do to make those couple things better.
Sure.
Want home better, want work better.
As you grow, if you've only been hiring people for 4 or 5 years, and you're noticing this major benefit from that, is there something that you do around this time every year that you could share with other aspiring entrepreneurs? Do you stop and take stock of what you guys have done in the year? Are you planning out next year? Are you more just working as hard as you can to stay as flexible and nimble and being able to make moves if an opportunity presents itself, like you explained that stock move that you made when the cold hit? Are there things that you do when a year is winding itself down that that are sustainable that you do every year, or are you just kind of feeling that out too?
I would say throughout the year, there's a lot of thought that goes into what's happening, how it's happening, is it working or not. So there's a lot of testing and tuning along the way. At the end of the year, I do go back and kind of do like a post-mortem. Usually midway through December, we know what's happening for the year. And I do look at every project we've done, every idea. I mean, I'll spend probably a week or week and a half, like just mulling over in my head. Did they work? Did they not? That kind of does happen. It's not super formal though. I mean, what I do is I print the balance sheet out for all the companies, and I go through it because it's got all the transactions. I'll print the ledger out and kind of look through the big stuff and just see, oh, we spent $8,000 on training for these guys. Was that a good idea or bad idea? They became much better salespeople. Okay, that was a good idea. Yeah. Training worked well this year. Should we train more next year? Do you think it'll make our people that much better if we train more, or is it just a waste of money? How about training next year? That's kind of like $1 that I'll see on the balance sheet or one of the ledgers. That process will start to go for each of those.
Your best salespeople, what common traits do they share? Is it this likable
energy,
self-starter energy thing, willing to try anything?
Yeah, they got to be able to talk to people. They got to have the personality like you and I are showing here, and the energy. And if they have those things, we've been able to train the shit out of people. I mean, the Grant Cardone stuff. Eric Klein does some real estate specific training. Another local guy has some stuff. We just train the fuck out of them, and we have them around other producers. And if they have the energy and all the interest, I think sales is fairly trainable a lot of times. The techniques.
Yeah, I agree with you. If people want to grow their real estate business or any other business that they might be in, maybe they like you, but they're not convinced that you should be their business coach.
Yeah.
What should they look for as red flags in other business coaches and say, no, that sounds way too good to be true? And if it does, it's always true. If it sounds too good to be true, it always is. That's my experience.
You're right. A lot of people sell a lot of bullshit on the internet. And you give them that money, you don't get what you want out of the deal.
The deliverables.
The guru thing.
Exactly.
You know, I do a small coaching thing, and looking back on it, it's not worth my time, although I'll do about $300,000 in coaching sales this year. It's completely the lowest dollar per hour thing that I'm doing right now. But I enjoy helping people get to the next level. And most of the guys that I've interviewed for my program, they're a couple steps behind me. I've just solved the shit they need to solve. I've just grown through what they do. And it's literally the easiest thing for me to get that information and help them get there. So I enjoy doing that because it's a solve. It's a chess game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're looking for the right kind of business coach, there's a lot of bullshit, man. I think that's the most important part is sorting through the BS and then finding someone that's your style of human.
Did you ever dial in on a business coach, or has this all been on the job training, learn as you go type stuff? Or have you identified a mentor and gone that route, or is it more maybe partnering up with people with a little more experience?
That's what happened to me.
Different experience, like your
it was just guys that were more successful than me. The CPA guy, I've learned so much from him. I did not value risk. I was always looking at the top end. He helped me figure out how to understand risk, and it is a huge part in the way we manage everything today. So I've learned a ton from that guy. He's a big-time poker player, and the rules of business and the rules in poker are actually very similar for investing. I've had several guys early on that I worked with that were really mentor roles, although one of them was a lender to me, one of them partnered with me on some deals. Man, there was something I was just thinking that really made sense. Another thing is finding other really bright, successful guys that were further along than me and becoming friends with them. There's 3 guys that I can think of off the top of my head that I was just so impressed with. I thought, how do I make these fucking dudes my friends? And I remember, like, he wanted to go work out, go play pickleball. I'll go do that. I'll do whatever they wanted to do so I could be around him and build relationships with them. But it's so cool to have these hour-long conversations after a pickleball game, and we're talking about his business, and I realized I just don't think big enough. This is a year and a half ago. I don't think big enough. And I was like, how do I fix that? And he said, do you have a plan or a goal for this quarter or whatever? Although it's very loose, he's like, just make it twice as big. I'm like, you're fucking nuts. He's like, no, I'm not. You just set a goal here. You're going to staff it this much. Why don't you staff it twice as much? And instead of capitalizing it this much, capitalize it twice as much.
So that's very 10X, right?
Dude, it is.
Just think bigger.
And I did what he said, and it actually worked.
Did the thinking bigger though? Did that come with I got to hire more people?
I realized that I needed to hire more people because I needed more hands, more man hours to get those things done. But that came from after a pickleball game in Arizona.
What was the first thing you did when he said think bigger? What was the first move you made where you're like, we're spending $10K more on leads, we're spending this much more on SEO? Was there a first move?
I immediately said, all right, guys, you're looking at $500,000 assets, do $1 million. Whatever our volume is, whatever our production is, you're going to have to do bigger deals. I'll figure out how to solve those, but they need to be bigger. So stop marketing for $500,000 warehouses, start marketing for $1 million warehouses.
Okay.
So the labor wasn't that much bigger. We needed an extra coordinator because those are more complicated deals, but I had to make sure that I was prepared with the capital. The neat thing is we retain a lot, so it was okay. But it was just, guys, it was that simple. Set your sights higher. Well, it's going to be $1 million. That's so much more. No, it's not. It's 10,000 square foot instead of 5,000. Who gives a fuck? Just go find them. I'll take care of the rest.
And then when you say I'll take care of the rest, so I'm going to go find the money to take these down.
I'll figure that out.
That's taking on a little bit of pressure there. That's not.
In that case, it was just go talk to our bank. So we started using commercial. We don't use any private money. And because we've been so disciplined, I'm living off less than $200,000 a year still. I've been doing that. And actually, this is my biggest year. Before then, it was 150 and 100. So based on our income. I'm living off, single digit percent of what I'm bringing in.
What's the thought process about going all commercial money and no private? You just don't want the pressure of the private?
No, I feel like private is lower pressure, but it was a higher interest rate, more points. Private money, guys, it's more expensive because it's easy. And because we built our balance sheet so well, my business partner's a CPA, we were able to walk into a bank and explain our business and show my financials. And they were like,
that's a little different, isn't it?
How much do you want?
That's a little different.
That's a little different
from some of the people you compete against.
So being able to get the commercial credit was a big deal because we've been retaining earnings so heavily and distributing as little as we can to the partners to live and get by and have a comfortable life. The capital, that part was available, but we had to make sure the relationships with the banks would allow us to extend to get bigger. So that's what me and my partner would do. So I had to go grab him and say, Bill, we're going to go to the bank. And he's like, well, why? Because he's the conservative guy.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we don't need any more. Everything's fine how it is. No, come on.
Yeah.
So get him on board, deal with bank, figure out. They'll underwrite these for us.
When you look at the market, let's talk about the residential market first, because I think that's what more people are familiar with than anything. When you look at what the market was doing last fall 21, now fall 22, it's obviously a different ball game.
Not even the same.
Yeah, and I know you said you've had to sell some deals at a break even or a small loss just to get them off. Was it to get them off the books, or?
It was to get another shot at bat. It's a concept that people get confused with.
Because you don't want your money tied up on something that you already know you lost on?
Well, I've already took my shot.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, I played soccer when I was a kid. You're gonna strike at the goal. You're gonna take that shot, right? If you make it, you made it. If you didn't, you don't. But you can't do anything else. You already took that shot.
It's over.
Your at bat's over with.
It's over.
So when we put the investment in that deal, and we're gonna go out to market with it. Once we take it down, we're gonna go try to sell it. If the market's not responding like we want, if you price it right, it should sell quickly. If it doesn't sell quickly, you missed the mark. You overpriced it. Your product isn't what the market wants. I shot my shot. Now is the time to lower the price as low as I can to sell it and break even to get my money back so I can go have another at bat.
What do you see happening? What do you see the Fed doing when it comes to housing on the residential side in the next month or two? Anything? Some people are saying yes, some people are saying no.
Everything points to they're going to keep raising interest rates again. Maybe not
fuel's got to go up after the holiday vacation and travel. Don't you think it's all going to go up at least a quarter a gallon?
It usually does around this time. I suspect that'll still happen. We do have a business line where we do still single family stuff. And that business line has still been really strong because we keep the homes less than $300,000. The median home price in San Antonio is $300-350 range. We're dealing in homes from $200 to $275 over there. And those still do really well. So we're happy with that because we can get it to market for less than other people, and it'll still move. So I'm happy with that part. But I think the way things are headed in the next year or two, we're going to have some economic weakness. Things are going to get tight. Folks are going to have a hard time. Money isn't going to circulate like it's been circulating. When the interest rates shoot up and the economy tightens up, it happens like this. But now, over the next year or two, we're going to start to see the fallout of that. Bankruptcies happen, households have trouble, businesses can't sustain. That stuff takes a while to work its way out of the system.
And now we got foreclosures are coming full circle now.
Yeah.
They held them off because of the cold for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now people are under pressure.
Yeah, I think it takes a while, based on what I've seen in the past and read, it takes a while to work itself out. Kind of gets to the bottom point where all the bads happen. And now at some point we'll stabilize at a bottom, it's no longer falling. It's no longer volatile like in COVID. It's just kind of finally gotten to its bottom. Everybody's fucking exhausted. The banking system's exhausted. The businesses are just getting by and everyone kind of there's no more down. And once it starts to hit the equilibrium, the balance, that's a neat place because you can predict. You can count on something. Right now it's going like this. You can't count on it.
But you're still out there moving and shaking and looking for deals. You're not just standing pat.
Right. So my premise is always, if you're able to buy it for half of what it's worth,
go for it.
Keep buying.
Keep trying it.
Because I can't sell it for 100% of what it's worth. Now I got to sell for 70% of what it's worth.
But you're still making money.
But that's cool because I bought it at 50% of what it's worth.
Okay, I got you.
And the construction stuff, cash flows from the beginning. I mean, I'm going to rent a space to a painter for $2,000 a month. He can pay that. He's still painting.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would seem like if one of your major focuses is on the industrial or commercial side, we're always going to have to we always have to repair stuff.
Right. These cameras were manufactured.
Yeah.
I mean, not here in America, but they were manufactured in a big old metal building.
Yeah.
This desk, it was stored in a big old metal building.
Yep.
The roof materials that you're about to install tomorrow,
Yep.
it's built, stored in a big old metal building.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. What's your is it all gloom and doom then, or are you excited about the next quarter because you know that another man's trash is your treasure type of thing?
I like to think I'll have some opportunity, yeah.
Is that something that you work on yourself with, or are you just a pretty natural, or are there times when you wake up and you're like, damn, tough week, tough couple days, I'm tired, or you pretty much just...
I'll get tired, but man, coming from not having any money, being a drug addict, not having any confidence, you come from all that.
It sounds like those memories aren't too far away for you.
A fresh man, that scab could be picked off any day, but the neat thing is, having it as a big part of my life for 20, 25 years, and then having kind of a new lease on life, like, this is fucking exciting. I don't know how I could not be happy about it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's almost like you stored energy that whole time, and now you got to spend that energy, but you're spending it on, well, it's sustainable to keep your energy up when you're living healthy, right? Yeah. But now...
it's a new lease on life. Like, today's a good day. I have a company to go to. I have little babies that run up and give me hugs. When I get home, when I wake up in the morning, they're running around asking for bottles. And a lot of people get frustrated because they're crying. I'm like, dude, I got this beautiful little baby that loves me. Like, let's get him some milk.
Sure.
You know?
Were there times in that past life where you thought, I'm not going to make it to 30. I'm not going to make it to 40?
Oh, yeah. That was like common talk. Like, we'll see how long we last. Dude, there's so many times I overdosed and I lived. And I remember thinking, I can't do that again. And it fucking happened again.
Wow.
Like, it just could have been so easy to just not turn back on.
Yeah.
Luck of the draw, I guess.
You just I kind of envy you. You just wake up and you're so almost overwhelmed with gratitude, like on a daily basis, but
that's fair.
It's just sort of there.
There are days that are frustrating. You know, there are days where it's not exciting.
Thank God I'm not the only guy.
Or there's some days where I sit at my desk, I'm like,
not feeling it?
I'm not feeling it, but you know what? I just turn on YouTube on my TV. I just get on my phone, get on social media. I'm like, how fucking bad is this? Really?
Yeah.
I'm in this big old cool office with all these people I like. Whatever. I'm not energetic. Fuck it. Turn on the TV. Let's watch some. You know who I've been watching lately?
Who?
Theo Von.
Yeah. He's special, man.
That dude's a riot.
Yeah.
So I'll turn on some Theo Von and watch it in my office and say, oh, I can't figure out how to get motivated to do work. Let me watch some Theo for a little while.
Did you watch when he snorted smelling salts with Rogan?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he felt like what did he say? Like a saber. I feel like a saber came on my chest or some shit. He's insane, man.
Dude.
Some like heavy hitters recently. He had like Mike Rowe, Andrew Callahan.
Really? Oh yeah, Mike Rowe was awesome. Mike Rowe is great. That dude, the Ford guy, Dirty Jobs.
Oh yeah,
Mike Rowe, that dude is awesome. Yeah. And he was laughing so hard at Theo that he was almost crying at one point. It was like hilarious.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah,
He's been on Rogan a lot.
Oh yeah,
fun.
They're good buddies. Yeah, that's a cool way to. Yeah, if you're not feeling the energy, it's an interesting deal that I don't think a lot of people understand, that when you're around other like-minded people, that's a high in and of itself.
It is. Don't mistake that because I'm happy and excited and feel good all the time. You know, there are days where I'm like, this is boring, this is whack, or I don't have the energy. Like, I get frustrated. I don't have the high energy that I want today. So I'm like, how do I get that? What do I do? Like, that stuff happens. But I would say as a baseline, I mean, it's 80% is like my bottom. Like, it's pretty high energy, pretty feel good, pretty good.
Yeah, and it's way fucking better than what it used to be.
I mean, I'll be honest. All that stuff back in the day made me feel pretty good.
Yeah,
but it's so bad, and you have to keep it up. And
was there a turning point?
It's like euphoric, but it's not therapeutic. You're not happy. You're euphoric. No. Fuck.
No doubt. The last time that you went through a low spot like that, like your last time through it, what was it that got you up and over and on your way? Do you remember? Or was it almost
Actually,
I'm outgrowing this.
When I got sober, it was kind of that. When I got sober and clean the last time, I didn't go to rehab. I didn't go to detox. I was staying at my buddy's house after I'd burned through all the rest of that inheritance with just a couple bucks left. And I remember the drugs were not working. They would keep me from getting sick, but I wouldn't get that big high anymore. I remember thinking, this sucks. I'm spending all the monies I got, and I'm doing things that are causing me a little bit of health problems, and I'm not even getting high anymore. Honestly, if they kept working, I'd have probably kept doing them.
Yeah.
They just didn't work anymore. I thought, well, I'm going to have to sit through these withdrawals for the next week at my buddy's house and just can't do it because it doesn't work.
Huh.
It was like didn't work, man.
You know, it's also one of those things, though, when the universe lines things up for you where, you know, you could have found that later on in life. You could have found that way of life now after all these good things have happened. I know, right? So you think about it that way, and it's kind of a different way of looking at it, you know?
I remember when I was in the treatment center, I met this guy. He's about 60 years old, and he'd been working at American Express as a vice president. He was smoking crack in his office.
Wow.
60 years old, built this huge career, all this success, somehow got into drugs at that age. And I remember thinking, I was like 24 at the time. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that guy's 60-something and it's happening to him.
Yeah.
What if that happens to me? What if I'm here again? I remember being scared at that time. So it was neat that it happened early and you get over it.
When you talk about looking at risk differently, business risk differently, not just looking at the top line or the bottom line, but what do you mean by that? And what type of mental gymnastics do you have to do? Is your CPA guy showing you if you'll take this risk, it'll mean this to the bottom line, so there are no mental gymnastics because it's automatically risk and I see what could be possible reward-wise? Or have there been times when you've taken those calculated risks, missed, and been like, what the fuck?
Other than when I bought that land, I didn't conceptually think in my head it can't go down anymore. I just remember thinking, I'm buying it for what it's worth, and maybe I have a shot at making an upside. I didn't feel like there was a downside, but that's me saying this today after 10 years of this kind of planning and training. But today I don't look at the upside. First, I look at the downside. So that's when I'm looking at the risk management and saying, what's my value at risk? How much of my capital am I going to risk? Is it going to hurt my business if I have that much capital out for a long amount of time, or do I need it sooner? I got to go through that first. So can I afford the investment? After that, I say, all right, if I put the money in the investment, what all things could possibly go wrong, and what would each one cost me? And is there any way that if all those things went wrong, I would lose money? So my goal is to protect the principal. And early on, I just looked at the house. I'm going to flip this house to make 50 grand or 20 or 100 grand. I only looked at the upside. I never looked at what could go wrong. Well, the first time I went to a big house flip, I was flipping $200,000 and $300,000 houses, and I jumped up to $500,000 house flip. Holy shit, the bed. And I lost 50 grand.
Yeah, those are a bitch, man.
They were.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I knew I was going to make $100,000, and I walked away losing 50. That was the biggest, like, what the fuck? And in the future, I always thought, if the sales price slumps, if my rehab budget goes over, if the comps don't support what it actually is going to sell for, what if all those things change? How do I? What I'm looking at, from buying a new business to making an investment for a new employee to a new deal. And what that looks like is I have to pay less for the asset.
Are you only looking at the numbers, or do you use any of your intuitive skills?
It gets intuitive now because I've run the numbers so many times. I can say 10,000 square foot warehouse in that part of town. I feel good about it without running any number. What's the rent? What's the cost? That works.
Have you ever run the numbers on something, the numbers have made so much sense, but you didn't feel good about it, so you didn't move forward?
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah?
If it's an area where I'm just not extremely knowledgeable about it.
You're still banking on your gut to a degree.
Or if the real estate is fair price, but it's not cheap, if there's some unknowns, I say it's got to be cheap. If I don't know this and don't know this and don't know that, it better be cheap.
Have you ever been conned?
Thankfully, no. I don't think I have any scams or anything.
What to the layman, what is the importance of the title process in real estate, and why do you think title will stay roughly in its current form for quite a while and won't go blockchain and won't go people lists and paper lists and all of that. Can you break it down and kind of distill it down into a nice, like, 150 proof shot of Everclear that you don't drink anymore?
The good stuff. I think blockchain's a long way off. The technology to be implemented across the entire country in a way that everyone accepts and adopts and is thorough, that we're so far off. You see what's happening with crypto right now. No regulations. Things are going crazy. They can't. The only reason that America has the true wealth with individuals like it does is because we own land titles. If you go to other countries like Africa, the commoner can't own land titles. Most of it's government land.
Right.
That's why we have wealth. Our government is not going to try to implement something that's so unstable that could destabilize our household wealth.
Mm-hmm.
No way. It's my opinion that there will be no blockchain technology and land titles while I'm in real estate. I don't think so.
Yeah.
At all.
Because there's so many things that can go wrong or could go wrong, or so many little complexities in a
That's
property deal.
I just think it's so undeveloped. It could probably happen, but they got to figure out how to the tokenized money. They got to get that shit figured out before they start doing real estate titles. I feel like. Yeah, fraud could be rampant too, just like it is with the money side right now.
Right.
So with land titles, the neat thing is the process is so archaic, but it's very foolproof. You have a document that's made by a lawyer, a deed. Buyer and seller sign it. A notary who's credible witness stamps that thing, and they record it at the courthouse, and it's either kept on hard copy file or imaged into their documents forever. And if you go there, you can get all the deeds for that one property back to patent, back to the Spanish land grant.
Yep.
It's so simple and easy, and it really works. So to beat that system, you got to have a really good one.
What's the craziest title scenario you've ever been through? Anything that's just like almost like in the movie Inception, just like crazy over what? Over lien, over judgment, over, and by the time you got it all the way to the finish line, it was just like, wow, this is crazy.
You know, the oldest one was so there's two interesting ones, a 65 owner property.
Okay.
There's that one. And then there was one from the 1800s. Title hadn't transferred since the late 1800s.
Was it abandoned or?
It was. So what happened is, actually it wasn't abandoned up until a few years before I got there. So it had been used. But what happened is great-great-great-grandpa bought the property in his name and passed away. And his 3 children inherited it, not because there was a probate, but just the laws of intestate succession. They became the owners at law. Of those 3 kids, one of them died and had 7 kids. And it continued to pass on. And I don't remember why. They had some weird ag exemption or something. So the taxes didn't get real expensive. And there was always one relative that live out there and pay the low tax bill. And it just literally went for generations.
Wow. We
had to do 4 layers of airship work because there were 4 generations of people that died to get to that 1890 something.
Crazy.
That was wacky, man.
How big was that title
file? There were people that were so dead and old, so dead from a long time, dead and old.
They were so dead, so fucking old.
We couldn't find anybody that knew the family well enough to sign all the affidavits of heirship. We ended up interviewing people in town and found a school teacher that was like 90 that knew. They were the person that knew the oldest relative in the family, and they were able to sign the affidavit of heirship with a few other local townsmen.
Wow, just to get like this chain of custody established, if you will.
Basically, yeah.
Man.
It was really, I didn't think it was going to work, actually. Halfway through it, I'm like, fuck, we invested $20,000 to pay the taxes off to prevent it to go to foreclosure. And we're trying to do the genealogy work here. We had a private investigator helping us, trying to just rope it all in. And at one point, I thought, I don't know if we're going to get enough data to do this.
Have you told Jess about the 6 years?
The 65 one? 65, I think that was going to be his next story.
Yeah, so that one, we only thought there were 10 owners. And that's how I met one of my current business partners. He called me from social media and said, I hear you deal with messy deals. I'm trying to wholesale a vacant lot downtown Austin. I said, great, what's the scoop? It's got 10 owners. That's not a problem. Well, one of them doesn't want to sell, the other 9 do. I said, well, let's take a look. So over the next 6 months, we go through this long process of doing a bunch of genealogy work and finding out that there weren't 10 owners, there were 65.
How do you go from 10 to 65 and not know about the other 55 when he's
because those
you
10 are liars.
A lot of that still in this game.
Yeah.
How often have you seen that where people try to fly something by? How do you not think that it's going to come up in title?
And the tricky part is the title companies will produce the title report, but if a person passed away and there's been no probate or no affidavit of heirship, title doesn't know who their heirs are. So if you come to me and say, I want to sell this property, it's me and my brother, and y'all do an affidavit of heirship and you get 2 people to sign as witnesses, but you don't tell me about your sister that lives in Washington, we go to title and we have these affidavit of heirships. They're recorded, they're signed, they're notarized, and title says, y'all are testifying that y'all are the 2 owners, okay. And they insure that transaction.
Wow.
But you lied to me, and there's sister out there in different state.
So sister has legal recourse?
She does, but sometimes they don't know about it. They find out later. So in this particular situation, it turns out one of those family members tried to sell this property multiple times and kept having problems. So we start interviewing people. They say, I do have a cousin, but they're not an owner. You have a cousin, but they're not an owner. So your father's brother had a kid. Your father's brother passed away? Yeah. Okay, then that cousin's an owner.
Yeah.
But he died, and he has 6 kids. So they're not owners because he's dead. No, they're 6 kids.
Wow.
So through the interview process, we started to find people. Then you go to Ancestry.com. We've got some credit level background search stuff that we use. Land records. You'd be surprised how much information you can find by searching public records in their county. So we built up this massive chart. And basically went back to him and said, look, while you said there were 10 of y'all, I think they're about 65. Wow. Here's why. And they admitted that these people were relatives. And then we showed them the intestate succession chapter of the estates code. No, it's a property code in Texas. And said, because of these rules, that's why they're all owners.
So did you get to the end of that deal and you're like, wow, my profitability per hour. Oh.
Well, so here's how. So the reason I was interested early on, I said, is the juice worth the squeeze? Originally, I thought it was going to be easy. Once I identified there's 65 people, I started to look at what the value was of the property. I have to decide, is it worth it? The property is worth $1.25 million. Downtown, half-acre lot in Austin, super valuable. So first thing is, before I really spend any money on this, I'm going to start calling of these 65. I'm just going to start calling people and see if people are engaged. People start saying, I never wanted that property anyway. Come get it. No one's been paying the taxes. I don't give a shit. My sister's a bad person. Probably a third of those people didn't want anything to do with it. And I said, then let me give you $1,000 for your time. And we're going to come with an attorney and a notary.
And they just started what? Transferring over their
We bought
share
65 shares of this property one at a time.
Wow.
So what the next step was, we've seen this happen. Some folks will give it to you for free. Some you give them a couple $1,000. Some you need to give them $5 or $10 grand. But I'm deciding it's worth $1,250,000, and there's 65 shares. So I divide $1,250,000 by 65. That tells me what each person's share is worth. I have to buy that share for less than it's worth so I can make some money.
Right.
So I have a maximum amount that I'll pay for each share, but most people are selling to me for 20 to 50 cents on the dollar. So when I realized I don't want some people getting mad and changing their mind, we need to hurry. So I had 3 guys in my office. We pulled $100 grand out of the bank. Each guy gets about 30 grand. And a mobile notary with them, and we're driving around
Who
town.
drove the hardest bargain of everyone involved?
Man, the frustrating part is we had to sue one person. The sister that tried to sell without telling anybody, the one I told you about earlier, we got 64 shares of this property, and we were all in for about $230,000. We go back to her, and she says, no, I want $1 million. We're like, dude, you don't own it. Yes, I do. I'm an owner. We get into an argument, and I say, look, you own 1/65. Here's the affidavit of ownership that your family, the attorney, and the PI has executed and recorded. You own 1/65. You want to sell with us? Great. If you don't, actually, she didn't own 1/65. She owned 10% because she was a higher up in the heirship chart. She's an old lady.
Okay.
She owned 10%. So we went back and said, look, let's go sell this together on the market. You just take your 10% and we'll take our 90%. Or you sell it to us, but we already paid the taxes, so you do owe us a little money. Fought with me, so I sued her. And then I sued her for the section of the taxes that I'd paid on her behalf. And the judge would have ordered her property to be sold to repay me my share, which means I would wind up with her share of the property. Did
you get that through summary judgment? Or did you have to take her all the way in?
I served her. She called my attorney and wanted to discuss immediately. I said, look, ma'am, I don't want to fight with you. She said, well, you told me that you're going to give me 30 grand or some number. And I said, yeah, that was before I had to file a lawsuit. I'll give you 10 now.
Yeah.
So I gave her 10 or something like that. She settled. At that point, I was all in for about 250.
Good for you, man.
Went and dumped it on the market, sold it for $1.25 million.
Wow.
So that's how the messy one went. But we could have had people disagree midway through. We had, on that property, we probably had 30 judgments or liens attached to all these owners. And we had to be able to get those stripped from the title so that we could sell it.
What types of liens and judgments are these? Just against them personally?
Dude, yeah. Somebody didn't pay their credit card bill. The credit card company sued them and filed a judgment. One person got evicted from an apartment complex. They had some apartment, $2,000 for
So did you have to pay the lien off, or did you just get a
half of them that they were filed? They didn't put the person's identification information, so we went back to title and said they can't prove this is that person. So half of them were stripped. A section of liens were filed when a person lived there and it was their homestead. As a result, in Texas, they'll wipe that.
Yep.
A couple of creditors, we called them and said, "Look, let's settle this." We gave them like 10 cents on the dollar, so they got like $300. So there's a little work on that side of it too. But when it was all said and done, I had 2-3 guys working on it for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess the juice was worth the squeeze after all.
Mm-hmm.
And you have an awesome story to tell.
Yeah.
So people who want to get into real estate, is this a good time to get into real estate, even though the market's a little bit on its ear?
You know, I think it's a good time to learn. I think if they want to get into it, they better start figuring out how they're going to pay for it, come up with your plan. And I would watch in 2023. There are good opportunities. There are great opportunities coming. I think you can make money because we're getting to the point where deals are starting to be less expensive.
When you say figuring out how to pay for it, what do you mean by that?
Well, like when I started, I inherited some money, but after I blew it all, I didn't have any more money. So I'm like, how am I going to pay for this?
Got to go get a job.
Yep.
Save.
Now, the first deal I actually I did flip a house when I was buying those group of lots. I did flip one. I didn't have the cash. So I borrowed from a private money guy. He paid for it all. And I collateralized that house with 2 vacant lots.
Mm-hmm.
So he loaned me $110,000, and I collateralized that house and 2 other lots. So he was well covered, but I borrowed all that money to flip that house.
Do you think that people are too averse to buying just land because there's not an improvement on it? They think I'm not going to be able to get that, realize that depreciation, which is going to help me on taxes.
No cash flow.
Interesting. So there's money to be made there, but if
you can buy it for less than it's worth today, I always say buy it because you can turn around and sell it immediately and make money. In those lots that I own, it was in the path of growth, and I really believe that. So I knew by holding them, the appreciation would come someday. So that was my idea. The other thing is if you buy land and cut it into smaller pieces, kind of like weed when you're younger, you buy this amount, cut it into smaller pieces, you sell it at a markup.
Yes. Right, exactly. And what do you think's the best way for people to learn? As we talked before, there sure is a lot of bullshit out there. Just get out there and just start watching stuff.
I mean, you got the guys like the Maxwells, just literally there's so many of them. Turn your bullshit detector on so you can see who's trying to sell you shit and watch.
And then ask and lean in. And if you find somebody who's further along in life than you are and they want to work out and play pickleball, then
go do it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your time, man.
No doubt.
You're
this was
a superstar.
Fun.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Logan is a good time. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I think there's some really good takeaways from that podcast. If you want to hit Logan up, we'll put his contact info up. I forgot to ask him for it at the end of the show, but Logan is high energy, very knowledgeable, and a really good dude. Love to know what you think about the podcast as well. Please like and subscribe. Drop a comment below. And if you know somebody who should jump on the Jess Marshall podcast, man, hit me up anytime. Instagram is the best way to DM me at Jess from the Northwest. And we'll see y'all next time.